Hello again, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for this Friday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service, and I'll be hosting today's show. Up first, we've got the river breakup map, and still pretty much, well, some open areas on the 2 out of the 3 rivers up there on the North Slope. Sagwan and the Colville River have areas of open water. The other one, pretty much mostly ice, but really the way it looks now, breakup is just about coming to an end without any major problems. Otherwise, the southern rivers south of the Brooks Range, pretty good, open. And for the let's see, hazardous weather graphic, we've got a wind weather advisory, or actually a wind advisory out for the central interior there, Tanana, greater Tanana area, and that's for northeast winds, 15 to 25 miles an hour, gusts of 40 miles an hour. And that's out from 1 p.m. Friday afternoon to, let's see, 1 a.m. Saturday morning, at least through this evening and until 1 a.m. tonight. Otherwise, winter weather advisory still out for the eastern Alaska Range, looking for another 2 inches of snow. Not the worst conditions you could have there, but it's sliding into June here, 2 inches of snow on the roadways up there. Could get a little slick and make for hazardous driving through the passes. Otherwise, moving on to the satellite imagery, you can see a lot of sunshine today over the actually the western interior of the state there, from the Kobuk Valley on down to Bristol Bay. Lots of sunshine actually west of the Alaska Range. Temperatures rising into the mid to upper 60s in some areas there. Also some gusty winds kicked in this afternoon. Bethel seeing winds out of the northeast gusting to, let's see, 40 miles an hour and about 35 miles an hour across that entire area there. Nome up on the Seward Peninsula also seeing gusts to about 35 miles an hour out of the northeast today. And dry conditions though, and temperature at Bethel about 64 degrees with those winds. Up on the Arctic coast, areas of light snow with a cold upper low that's pulling southward. And that coming into the central interior there with some light amounts of precipitation. The moisture over the southeast interior Copper River Basin, Chitina had about a ½ inch of precipitation in the last 12 hours. And otherwise, rain, Anchorage International Airport seeing about 1/10 of an inch of precipitation. Independence Mine, though, picked up ½ inch of rain. So wetting, and if it's a ½ inch, that's a soaking rain. Wetting rain's about 1/10 of an inch, and that's going on Copper River Basin, south central Alaska area, with 4/10 of an inch having fallen at Big Lake. Otherwise, Yakutat picked up about 6/10 of an inch of precipitation. The heaviest rainfall amount goes to Seward, where they had around 3/4 of an inch, I think 0.77 inches to be exact, 12-hour period, again ending at 3 p.m. this afternoon. And cloudy with some showers over the southeast coast, where again Yakutat picked up about 6/10 of an inch of rain. That was the heaviest. It lightens up as you head south. Klawock, by contrast, only had, let's see, 2/100 of an inch of precipitation. And then some snow. Anatuvik Pass picked up about 1 inch, snowing currently throughout the afternoon with gusty north to northeast winds, and it picked up about 1 inch of snow. Otherwise, out over the Bering Sea system just skirting the eastern Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula, some moisture and breezy conditions, kind of cloudy there across the southern Bering Sea and the Aleutians, but clear in the northern Bering Sea. St. Lawrence Island seeing a lot of clearing today, well as along this and off the southwest coast, as you can see, extending into the western interior up to about the Brooks Range. And one more loop around there, you can see the moisture in the southwest flow developing over the Gulf of Alaska, carrying it up into the Copper River Basin, especially the east side. There's that upper level trough pulls southwestward, increasing the southwest flow. Dry northeast flow on the northwest side of that upper low. also at the surface here. That's what's dried it out and cleared it out over the Bering Sea today. Virtually clear skies there until even south of the Pribilof. Sunshine getting into St. Paul, St. George. But then you pick up some moisture there along the Aleutians with showers, eastern Aleutians to the Alaska Peninsula area. Pretty gusty winds there as well, maybe up to 30, 40 miles an hour in gusts with the tighter gradient there on the north side of that low center. Otherwise, widespread area moisture from the North Gulf Coast, as I mentioned, from Cook Inlet, Seward Peninsula, right up across the Copper River Basin, getting into the upper Tanana Valley 40-mile country there with some light rain showers, light snow north slope, eastern areas, and the Arctic coast with, again, rain over the northern panhandle, showers down to the south. Forecast for tonight, that stays about the same there. Higher pressure ridging up into British Columbia there and catching the southern panhandle. That'll keep the precipitation at bay, but still some few showers around, mostly cloudy skies. Winds will be light. Better chance of rain there. Elfin Cove to Yakutat. Chance of rain, northern panhandle, say Juneau up to Skagway. Periods of light rain, fog, and drizzle, North Gulf Coast. Prince William Sound, Kenai Peninsula, South Central Alaska, Copper River Basin, periods of rain tonight, cloudy skies, mixture of precipitation from the Alaska Peninsula with any elevation at all. That'll be in the form of snow, especially you get above 2,000 feet up across the eastern interior. Breezy over the central interior, stays windy, really out along the entire west coastal areas. Light winds, high pressure, no gradient on the Arctic coast, still a chance of light snow and fog, eastern North Slope and Arctic coast. And clear skies, northern central Bering Sea, starting to spread southward there toward the west central Aleutians, Adak and Atka or Amchitka Island. And for tomorrow, probably could see some clearing there. Otherwise, areas of low clouds and fog, but that's going to be the exception rather than the rule out there, with a lot of clear skies, but low pressure south of the Fox Islands brings a chance of rain there, and the areas into the Alaska Peninsula, weak low into eastern Bristol Bay, Kodiak Island, periods of rain, cloudy skies, a little cooler, and brisk winds. Southeast winds ahead of that front for the North Gulf Coast into Prince William Sound. Actually, gale warnings, 40-knot winds in the forecast for Prince William Sound out of the southeast tomorrow. Gale warnings eastern North Gulf Coast, 35 knots. Gale force gusts for Lynn Canal out of the south as well to, I believe, 35 knots. Otherwise, lighter winds, drier, more sunshine as you head down toward the southern panhandle. Stays wet. Copper River Basin, more rain. South central Alaska up into the central upper Tanana Valley area to about the Yukon River, then clears out up over the north slope in the Arctic coast, and that holds through Sunday as well, with mostly sunny skies. Brooks Range into the probably the central interior there. Few clouds, but you can see the shower activity is about gone. Pretty sparse there. That more of a thermal low starting to develop there over the central eastern interior, with higher pressure ridged in along the North Gulf Coast where it's cooler. And a couple of troughs, periods of rain and showers. Now, not as extensive over south central Alaska, the Copper River Basin, mostly be restricted to the North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, as well as the panhandle. Some shower chances increase there with increasing moisture. The ridge trying to hold it at bay, but not good enough. Looks kind of cloudy and showery even for the southern areas. Not bad out over the Bering Sea. Stays generally storm-free. Western Aleutians as well. Chance of showers for the Fox Islands. Chance of rain for the Alaska Peninsula. And for the lows tonight, 40s for the Panhandle, lower to mid-40s southern Alaska, upper 40s Kodiak Island, mid-40s Bristol Bay, mid-30s though for the northern Kuskokwim Valley area. And then the high Saturday afternoon, they're 50 there, Copper River Basin, lower 50s Kuskokwim Valley and the Bristol Bay area. And 50s to near 60, warmest over the southern southeast coast for the Saturday afternoon highs. Otherwise, high right around 50 Kodiak Island and lower 50s, say Homer, Seldovia, but highs right upper 40s to near 50, kind of cool for south central Alaska, and overnight low Sunday morning for the Copper River Basin, near 40 for the Susitna Valley, lower to mid 40s for the Kenai Peninsula, mid to upper 40s there for the Panhandle, and Bristol Bay, lower to mid 40s, not too bad. And then taking a look at the highs Sunday afternoon, warmer temperatures there, back into the mid to upper 60s there for the areas west of the Alaska Range there until you get out toward the coastline, and in the 50s to maybe near 60 for the Panhandle, 55 to 60, call it, for the Copper River Basin area, but even milder, warmer up in the Tanana Valley, probably looking at 60s, maybe mid to upper 60s up in that area. So definitely warming up again with the colder air pulling off to the southwest there. But otherwise, as you head up in toward the Arctic coast, temperature highs will still be in the lower to mid 30s, so a little warmer than the 20s you saw today.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
First line weather graphic, we've got IFR, Brooks Range, on out to the Arctic coast. VFR, though, south of the mountains, all of the Yukon River Valley there, west of Eagle, and then IFR over the southeast interior, upper Tanana Valley, 40-mile country, into the Alaska Range, Copper River Basin, eastern Turnagain Arm, all of Prince William Sound, and the southern Kenai Peninsula, Gulf of Alaska, northern two-thirds of the Panhandle, and Kodiak Island, Pacific side of the Alaska Peninsula, all of the Aleutians, but VFR from the Pribilofs and the entire northern Bering Sea right up till you get to the around Cape Lisburne or so. Then you hit some marginal VFR, otherwise looking really good out there in the Bering. And then for the afternoon, Saturday, we've got marginal VFR, North Slope and the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, IFR hanging right along the central and west side, and then VFR south of the Brooks Range again, and still marginal VFR in the eastern upper Tanana Valley, 40-mile country, about Eagle southward. Not too bad though for Northway and Tok, and for still some IFR there. It looks like around the Talkeetnas, maybe the southern Copper River Basin, into the North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, Kodiak Island, most of the Gulf, but marginal VFR for the Panhandle, lingering IFR, Lincoln down Glacier Bay, and improvement out over the Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula, marginal VFR, with some VFR showing up around Adak, and stays VFR over the, good portion of the Bering Sea, right up to Shishmaref. And for the morning Sunday, we've got IFR, again, North Slope in the Arctic coast, but not quite as impressive, or as into the mountains of the Brooks Range as it was tomorrow morning. Anyway, for the then we got marginal VFR to the crest of the mountains there, south of the mountains, good VFR, all the Yukon River, northern Kuskokwim Valley, some IFR showing up over the southwest mountains there, northwest of Dillingham. Otherwise, marginal VFR, Togiak Bay, Bristol Bay, Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians, VFR, Atka and Adak, IFR, Shimmy and Attu, Kodiak Island, IFR, Fognak Island, VFR, marginal VFR, southern and eastern side of the Kenai Peninsula again into Prince William Sound, IFR there right along and just off the central and southern southeast coast. And for the afternoon Sunday, VFR in the interior, slowly improving there up along the North Slope and the Arctic coast with less marginal VFR and IFR. And Bering Sea, not too bad, especially in the north. Southern areas not too bad as well. Still possible VFR for Adak and maybe Atka, otherwise marginal IFR pushing back into the area from Amchitka westward. And IFR holds there, western Prince William Sound, Resurrection Bay, east side of Kodiak Island, and marginal VFR for the Panhandle with IFR along the coast. Past the Zanatuvik, starting at IFR, trending toward marginal VFR. Same forecast for Adigan. Slow improvement throughout the day. Lake Clark and Merrill looks like a marginal VFR kind of day coming up for Saturday. Rainy, marginal VFR, rainy IFR, or windy IFR becoming marginal. And for Isabel, IFR. Mostly IFR to start from Mentassa, then becoming marginal VFR. Tanita, marginal VFR. Portage, IFR, eastern entrance, lowest conditions on the eastern entrance there throughout the entire day, otherwise marginal. Chilkoot and White, marginal VFR. Freezing levels, 2,000 feet, making a push to the south into the northern Panhandle and the Susitna Valley. Otherwise, about 6,000 over the Alaska Peninsula. Milder out over the Bering Sea, 8,000 feet. And icing with the moisture coming up into the North Gulf Coast. That's you'll see the greatest potential, some considerable moderate rime icing, possibly mixed there along the western North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, and fading away as you head into the northern Panhandle. And taking a look at the jet stream, upper level trough that's pulling southwestwards, pulled southwestward from the Arctic there. Tomorrow will be over the mid to lower Yukon River Valley area. And we've got southwest jet 90 to 110 knots there, right across central interior into the Yukon. Northeast 75 knots blowing across the Noatak Valley, Kotzebue. And at 9,000 feet, northeast winds 25 to 40 knots there over the west coast and the central Bering Sea down to the central Aleutians, and 65 knots southerlies coming into the North Gulf Coast, Copper River Basin. and 60 knots southerlies at 3,000 feet into the Prince William Sound area, 40 knots right along the southeast coast, northeast 40 to 45 out over the Bering Sea. Turbulence, occasional moderate chop, Adak and Atka, North Gulf Coast, and the Yukon Delta Coast, Nunivak Island, and the Bering Strait, as well as the Kobuk Valley.
Welcome back to another edition of Alaska Weather Facts. I'm meteorologist Dave Snyder, and joining us here today is Eric Stevens from the Geographic Information Network of Alaska at the University of Alaska Fairbanks, GINA for short. And Eric, you frequently come on the show to tell us about these really cool things that we're doing with satellites over Alaska and how we can use these really awesome tools. But I'm thinking all the while there has to be a mad scientist somewhere working on the next cool thing in the satellite laboratory. What is being developed today?
Right. Well, you know, when I was a kid growing up in the boonies in North Dakota there, on Sunday after church, the old people, like my parents and their parents, would gather and have coffee and talk. And I kind of eavesdropped on them a little bit. And the theme of a lot of these conversations seemed to be, well, isn't it amazing what they can do these days, someone would say.
Sure.
And I was thinking, oh, I don't know, I was too young.
Right.
Well, now I'm old enough in the weather satellite business.
You can remember when.
The new generation of weather satellites, I'm starting to say, isn't it amazing what they can do these days? Because it's always improving.
Yes.
Maybe an analogy here is like television. Television started in black and white, then it went to color. Analog signal transitioned to digital here a number of years ago. Standard definition becomes high definition. Right. Well, weather satellites are changing too. First weather satellites went up around 1960, not that long ago. No. It's comparatively young science. And every time a new series of satellites is launched, see, we learn from the past, so the mad scientists decide, well, we could make the next satellite even better in such and such a respect.
Yes.
And now the United States is on the verge of launching, or in progress of launching, a series of new geostationary satellites that are better than ever before.
Okay.
Let's take a look at some of the previews of what these new satellites can do.
Peek inside the lab here, okay.
Yeah, and so we'll peek in, and here are some mad scientists and mad technicians dressed in bunny suits. This is, believe it or not, this is the business end of a weather satellite under construction in a clean room. You don't want a speck of dust on the lens of a weather satellite's camera. So this is done in a clean environment. They are building a geostationary satellite there.
Oh, cool.
This new generation of satellites, if you had to answer the question, why are these better? Why do we care?
Okay.
You could answer it with 3 words: faster, better, more. The new generation of satellites are faster than the older ones. The images are sharper, they're better, and there's more spectral channels. We'll talk about that.
Any one of these called Steve Austin? It sounds faster, better, stronger.
Yeah. You know what, though? These things cost more than $6 million.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They're pricey, but they are an essential tool for the Weather Service to fulfill its mission of protecting lives and property.
Exactly.
You got to have the tool to do the job, and it helps all of us when we get the accurate forecast, the warning in time, and this is the tool. Faster. On left here, we see what the old generation of satellites could scan in 5 minutes. On the right, that's what you get in 5 minutes, the whole planet, or at least one side of it. So it's faster. That means you can take more images over a given amount of time and make smoother movie loops out of that. Because animating movie loops really helps you highlight a feature that maybe you can't see as well in a single image.
Absolutely does, yep.
Let's zoom into a small piece of real estate like Texas.
Sure.
And we can see here a satellite that has a 1-minute movie loop visible light. You can see thunderstorms boiling there.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, the rippling of the top of the thunderstorm. This is a fun movie loop. We're going to be able to see things like this more and more often because of the new satellites being generated. Some things are only evident in animation. So that's faster. Well, what's better? We're able to now have sharper imagery than before. The Japanese have a satellite that uses the same imager that is on the new generation of satellites that America is launching too. An imager, that's just a word for camera. It's the camera on a weather satellite. We have something called the Advanced Baseline Imager.
Sounds important.
ABI. It's important enough it has an acronym. Everything's an acronym. Well, an ABI-like instrument is here over the Western Pacific, and we can see this color image. This is what a human eye might see if you were riding on the satellite. But it's a little bit fuzzy. With new technology, you can post-process the image taken by the satellite to highlight and sharpen some of the features. So this image here of the Western Pacific then becomes
Whoa.
this image. Thanks to the
That's a big
processing
difference.
techniques, yes, this is the newest technology. So we've got a new satellite that can provide better data than ever before. And on the ground, we can process it better than before as well to really sharpen up the imagery and to give us a better view of the weather than ever before. So faster and better and more. What do we mean by more? Well, on the older generation of satellites, the imager, the camera, had 5 slices of the spectral pie, visible imagery, infrared imagery, something we can't see from the human eye. A lot of different slices of the pie. We're going from 5. The new imager has 16 slices. Each slice has its own relevance. Some are best for volcanic ash, for smoke, for dust, for telling the difference between smoke and dust, which can look similar under some infrared channels, but other ones bring out certain things. All of these 16 bands are important. In fact, some of the mad scientists, they didn't want 16, they wanted 24. There's always more you can do. But that'll be the next generation of satellites. So now we say, isn't it amazing what we can do these days? And you know what? It makes you think, well, what's the future going to be like too? It's so important to be able to know what's going on now in the weather. If you're going to forecast the future, you got to know where things are now. And satellites are the way to see that, especially in Alaska, where we don't have as many observations down on the ground. The satellites fill in the holes.
Yeah, really important stuff. And I love hearing about what we can see right now, but I love thinking about what is possible in the future. It's amazing stuff. And since you paid for it, it's a good time to learn about it. If you'd like, check out the website at www.goes-r.gov. And as I understand, it's a really easy website to use.
Oh yeah, a lot of good information about what these new satellites mean to Americans. And it's the Weather Service's mission to protect lives and property, and this is the tool how to do it.
Cool stuff, Eric. Thanks so much for sharing that with us today, and thank you for joining us right here in Alaska Weather Facts. We'll see you next time. And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Looking at today's sea ice analysis, you can see that we've got, let me back that up a little bit, continuing to thin out there over the Bering Sea, or actually up toward the Bering Strait. Anyway, coastal water forecasts kind of brisk along the coastline tomorrow. Southeast winds for the Panhandle, 25 knots on the south coast, southeast 30 central coast, and then gale warnings on the north coast. Sustained 35 knots from the southeast, gusts to 45 knots, and Lynn Canal southerlies to 20 knots with gale force gusts to 30 knots out of the south. Central and southern inside waters looking at southeasterly winds of 20 knots with 4-foot seas. Outlook for Sunday. Inside waters of the Panhandle, northern and central areas, southeast 15, seas 3 feet. It's clear and straight southeast at 20 with 6-foot seas. And then for the coast, small craft advisories, southeast 25 to 30 knots, more of an easterly direction on the north coast there, seas running 12 feet to 17 feet. And for Cook Inlet, small craft advisories tomorrow, northern Cook Inlet, northeast at 25, south of the Forelands, northerlies at 30 knots, northeast 30 for Kamishak Bay, Barren Islands, small craft advisories. East at 30 knots, small crafts for the western North Gulf Coast for 25 knot winds out of the east. Gale warnings for the Middleton Island area, southeast 35 knots. And Prince William Sound, east 40 knots sustained, if you can believe that, and seas at about 10 feet. And for Sunday, that comes down, northeast 20 knots now, Prince William Sound, seas subsiding to 4 feet. Small craft advisories, North Gulf Coast, easterlies 25 to 30 knots, and seas up to 13 feet. Barren Islands, east at 20 and 10-foot seas. And for Southern Cook Inlet, small craft advisory still north 25, northeast 25 Kamishak Bay. Northern Cook Inlet, northeast at 20, seas 6 feet. And for Kodiak Island, east side there, southeast at 20 knots, Shelikof Strait, northeast 25, Sitkinak to Castle Cape, southeast winds 20 knots, 8-foot seas. Lighter though, from Castle Cape to Cape Sarachev, south of 15, but seas still at about 10 feet. Small craft advisories, Bering Sea side of the Alaska Peninsula and Bristol Bay, northeast 25 knots, 5 to 6-foot seas. Much lighter winds though on Sunday for that area, from Bristol Bay all the way down the coastline there to Cape Sarachev, southeast at 15, seas 2 to 4 feet. And for the Pacific side of the Alaska Peninsula, Cape Sarachev to Sitkinak, east at 20, seas 7 to 8 feet. Lighter winds on the east side of Kodiak. They're just east at 10, but seas still at about 8 feet. And Shelikof Strait, northeast 15, 3-foot seas. On Alaska Island, east-northeast, 25 to 30 knots tomorrow. Seas right around 10 feet. Unimak Island, northerlies 30 knots, 9 to 12-foot seas. Adak and Atka, 30-knot winds from the north. Amchitka Island also looking at 30-knot winds from the north. And small craft advisories for Shimiatu and Kiska, north 25, 7-foot seas. Outlook for Sunday, western Aleutians, north 20 knots. Central Aleutians, small craft advisories, north 25 knots. Unimak Island, small craft advisories, north 25, 9 to 8-foot seas. On Alaska Island, east-northeast 15 to 20 knots with 7 to 5-foot seas. Southwest coast, small craft advisories, northeast winds 30 knots. Pribilof, St. George, St. Matthews, St. Paul Islands, northeast 30 knots, 8 to 9-foot seas. St. Lawrence Island, north at 30 knots with 9-foot seas. And Norton Sound, north 25. Lighter winds, Norton Sound on Sunday, northeast at 20, seas 4 feet. St. Lawrence Island, northeast 30. And the Yukon Delta Coast, north winds at 20 knots with 5-foot seas. And south of Nunivak Island, lighter winds east at 15, but small craft advisories for the Pribilos are north at winds 25 with 8-foot seas. Light variable winds at 10 knots to the eastern Beaufort Sea coast. Same thing on the west side, a little more northerly though, but the central coast, call it southwest at 15. First wind advisories, Cape Beaufort to Wales, north at 25, and 20-knot winds there from the north, Wales up to Cape Beaufort, otherwise north 15 on the western Arctic coast. Variable winds at 10 knots continue on the eastern Beaufort Sea coastline. And for tonight, high pressure up there at the surface, kind of an Arctic high, as that upper level low center pulls off to the southwest. So low clouds, fog, light snow flurries up there, especially on the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, eastern north slope, maybe into the central Brooks Range, Anatuvik Pass possibly, maybe Arctic Village. And rain or snow there north of the Alaska Range, and just areas of rain and showers for south central Alaska. East of the Alaska Range, North Gulf Coast, periods of rain into the Panhandle, chance of showers southern Panhandle. Front spreading, keeping it wet for Kodiak Island and the Alaska Peninsula, the eastern Aleutians. And, whoops, wrong way there, gosh. Saturday and Sunday.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.